Hey everybody, welcome back to another book review. So this book I just read, I'm gonna butcher this because my Spanish is super special, but is The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina, and it's by Zoraida Córdova, and it's a very interesting book. So I read it because a friend of mine had it on her list last year. So I was like, oh, that sounds like an interesting book. And I'm really trying to, as you guys know, trying to read more authors of color. So obviously Hispanic authors fall into that category. And it was just a very interesting book. It's basically about, it's kind of about two sets of, or two people in the family, or two sections of the family. Orquídea is, she grew up poor, and then her mother got remarried, and she was kind of treated badly, so then she runs away and starts her own family. And when she's older and she's dying, she asks all her children and grandchildren to come back and get their inheritance. And everybody's like, oh, so we're getting money, or we're getting the house that she built, all this stuff. And so one of her grandchildren, Mar, and Ray, and Rhiannon, who at the beginning of the book is not born, she's a child, but they are the ones that kind of get a physical representation of the inheritance, which is something magical. And so they go on this journey to try and figure out who their grandmother was, because they don't really know who their grandmother was. All they know is that she's had 4 husbands and she's got, a lot of kids and grandkids and stuff. And in the process of her dying, they find out that she actually had a 5th husband, and another child that they had never heard of. And they're trying to figure out, like, people in their family die in weird ways, and that continues through the story. And just kind of trying to understand who their grandmother was and how they got this inheritance. And it's lots of magic and stuff, which typically I'm into books that have like a lot of magical things to them. So overall, I'm giving this book a 2.5 out of 5, and there are several reasons why. I really like the story. I love the concept of the story. It was kind of like a hodgepodge story. It was like Encanto meets like Harry Potter meets stories about people that run away. It was just a hodgepodge of stuff, and it all just kind of got thrown together. But at the same time, I just feel like the magic wasn't really well explained. It was by the end of the book, but like it didn't all really match and make sense. Which maybe that was the purpose of the book. I don't know. I also, as we all know, like, I'm not perfect, but I am not a fan of when books use tons of language and sex. Like, it's just not needed 95% of the time. I think that there is a strategic and proper way to utilize it, particularly in writing. It's more complicated in film because, like, you're seeing it or something like that, but in this particular book, I was like, it's rated R. Like, if I had to rate the book on like the movie scale, it's definitely at the latter end of the R sections. Is definitely something that would be on HBO. It was just a lot, and it a lot of times didn't make sense. For some of the characters, it did, but the vast majority of them it didn't. And then it was also just kind of randomly scattered throughout the book itself by the author, like describing things, and I was just like, I'm confused. Like, it just wasn't needed. So because of that, because of language, because of the R nature of the book, it does have a lower rating. There were several times where like I was reading something and I was really into like what's going on with the story, and it takes a minute for the story to pick up and for you to kind of figure out that it's toggling between two time periods. But as I was reading, I would get to the bottom of a page and something like major is happening, and I'd flip the page and it was almost like we dropped like 2 sentences to get to the next page. And so I would like be flipping back and forth between pages and be like, wait, did I miss something? And so because of that, it actually took me a little bit longer to read, because I'm like, I swear I'm missing something. So I need to process through everything. So I wasn't really a big fan of that. And I also didn't like, a lot of times when authors are writing from the over perspective, they kind of focus on one character and that one character's kind of feelings and stuff, and occasionally hinting at the other character's feelings and whatnot. And I felt like she just kind of bounced through all the characters' feelings, and it was very hard to follow sometimes, or through all their thoughts. And there were moments where it was like, okay, this chapter is focusing on this character, and this chapter is focusing on this character. There were moments of that, but then we would bounce within like one paragraph between characters' feelings, and it just kind of got really hard to follow. So yeah, because of that, giving it a 2.5, 2.75 maybe. I did like the concept. I liked the story. I loved the incorporation of Spanish, but also discussing the fact that like a lot of the main characters didn't speak Spanish. So then when they wind up going to visit their grandmother's homeland in Ecuador, it was just like, oh, we don't actually speak Spanish. We don't fully know what's happening, which I thought was just a really fun concept. I felt like the characterization, each character just felt really natural and organic, and I liked that. I liked the way that the dysfunction of the family was described, and especially as you read the book more, you understand why the dysfunction is so important. But there was just a lot of other stuff that I was just like, I'm lost. I'm so confused. I need this explained better. But overall, not the worst book. Definitely one that I think everybody else should maybe check out, get some other opinions. But yeah, those are my feelings on it. So thank you again, everybody, for watching. Thanks, Mac Daniels, for putting that kind of out there about reading it, at being a suggestion. It was actually more than just Mac's list. It was on a couple other people's list as well. So thanks for that suggestion. It was a good read. As always, please continue to drop book comments of books that you think I might be interested in. I'm trying to swear off buying any more books right now until I get a little bit further through the pile. I know I say that almost every video, but I really am trying to not buy any more books. And but yeah, by all means, continue to drop those suggestions, because as I do read through books, then I get rid of books or or take them to school if they're children appropriate. So so continue to do that. And then if you feel so called, you are welcome to like, comment, subscribe, share, whatever you feel led to do. Also, shout out to my husband Andrew's coworker who started following me and actually started reading some of the books. So shout out to you, and shout out to my students as always, who are out there also reading books. So continue the good work. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.